Okay, so I got the nuts off, and let's do that again. That didn't sound right. Okay, it is day 2. So yesterday we got the old system out, the old air intake out. We got the new Banks air system installed or configured. And today's task is going to be getting the AMSoil bypass filter kit installed. And that's a little bit of a task. There's some detailed work you have to get into. I probably won't go into great detail with this video, but I can point you to other videos that I've gotten my information from, and you can always ask. You can always ask me questions, and I'll be happy to tell you what I experienced. So we're going to go ahead and record as much as we can. A lot of it's under the truck and very poor lighting, so I'm not sure how well it's going to show up, but we're going to try. So one of the other things that I ended up purchasing along with the AMSoil bypass filter kit is an adapter for the filter housing. And the reason I purchased this through Don Smith, and I'll leave a link to his website and down below and his videos, is because this bracket and these standoffs made the installation go much easier, or I hope it does. I haven't gotten there yet, but he includes all the hardware that's needed to not have to drill into the frame of your truck or some wonky location. The filter housing is best installed if the canister, if the oil filter itself sits, up and down. It shows in the instructions that it can tilt a little bit, but I was having a horrible time finding a place to mount this properly, and I just made the decision to go ahead and go with Don's kit. It's pretty well made. I mean, it's some heavy duty hardware. Plus he shows how to install it, where to install it, and really good stuff. So I would highly recommend looking at his video. He may fill in the gaps that I can't record here or I don't record. And I think in general, between this video and his video, you shouldn't have any issues. At least I hope not. So let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we want to do for the AMSoil bypass kit is to take this little nut out right here. And this is where the 45-degree angle adapter will go. So we'll get that going first, and that's why you have to take all this assembly out for the air intake, is to get to this. This is a 7/16 socket, excuse me, a wrench. So let's get that going. Okay, so now I have installed the, I think it's brass. It goes on top of the oil filter housing, and then the hose adapter, and I've got it oriented like such. And that's so it can clear all of this. Clear this, looks like it goes to the alternator. I may have to turn that back just a little bit. We'll see how the other fitting goes, but that would be loosening it. I did use some the thread paste on both those fittings, because last thing I want is a leak right here where I have to take all this stuff out again. All right, so let's crawl into the truck, and I'll show you where this kit goes without getting you disoriented. So I am under the truck. I am looking at, this is the passenger side. There's the tire, the passenger side. And if you look up here, let's see if I can point to this easily. Right here, this mounting bracket. So those two bolts are going to come off. Don't take that one off, but that one and that one come off. and you're going to replace it with this. So we're going to unscrew these bolts, put these in place, and this gives us the standoff to mount the filter housing right here. Okay, so it's protected from at least road debris in the bumper, so it's a fairly safe place. So we're going to remove this. Okay, so I got the nuts uninstalled and put these in place. These are the standoffs that come from Don's kit. I did spot fit the bracket, and it did fit. So I want to make sure, because in his video, and I'll put a link to that in below, he talks about how close this can be to this washer, and you can see there's a big gap for mine. So I want to make sure that this actually lined up still where those, and it did. So I spot fitted it earlier, put the screws in, and it did fit. So now we're going to get the torque wrench out and torque these down anywhere between 45 to 50 pounds. Okay, so the bracket's installed. I've torqued these down. So now we're going to mount the housing, and before we do that though, we have to put on some fittings. So if you haven't already done so, I recommend downloading the instructions, printing them out, and read through them. And I've already done this several times because I know it's such a detailed installation. But some of the things I learned from Don's YouTube channel is to how these need to be positioned. So I'm going to put these onto here, like so, and get them turned in the right direction. So let's start with the out. He says to get these tight, but don't go crazy with it. Okay, so even though I was tightening up with the 7/16 wrench, I just didn't feel like I was getting enough pressure on it, and yet I felt like I needed to get a little bit more. So I went with some vice grips, whatever you want to call them, and really gave it another full turn. So I think that should be good. There. So I believe he said to, I'll double check his video, but this is the out, and basically that needs to go almost straight out over the out, and this one goes at a slight angle so that you can clear the hoses, the lines. So I think we'll stay with that. It looks pretty good. I think the hoses should clear. All right, let's go mount this guy. All right, so what you want to do is take this piece right here, this assembly, and make sure that your hose is cut nice and flush. I had this. I would recommend getting something a little bit bigger. This was actually for airline, but it did work. And then you're going to take this and you're going to start back, turning it counterclockwise, as if like you're unscrewing something. Okay, just get it started. It doesn't have to be even like actually going. Take your impact wrench and just hold the cable, hold the hose tight, and it should start walking itself back on until it bottoms out. And the bottom out is what you want. That's your key to stop. Then what you do is you back this off about a turn, because you need to let this hose expand when you screw this in. This will flare that hose out. It needs a little bit of room. So, oh, wrong side. All right, so 5/8, and now we're going to turn this clockwise to back this off a little bit. So basically that nipple to go in. So it's kind of hard to see. Let me get you in the light here. But basically, when it bottoms out, then you want to turn it, like I said, clockwise to give it a gap. All right, then you're going to drop a little bit of oil down here. Drop a little bit of oil. I even put oil on these threads, and I'm just using the motor oil. Put this in, and then you have to tighten this until this nut here is down on this right here. So basically it should look like this. Okay, let me give you an update. All right, so I've got the hose temporarily connected. It's just kind of finger tight right now. I'm tracing it over the alternator and down the shroud of the fan blade shroud. I've just got these temporarily zip tied right here. I've got the return hose just kind of situated right here, because what I was concerned about was the potential of cutting the hose in the wrong place and not having enough. So what I did is I ran these down underneath here. So here's the fan shroud, and kind of situated it where the hose would connect to the filter housing here, and then measured it off. And now I'm going to wrap the other one over there and make sure I have plenty of length, which I think I should. Okay, so yeah, I should have plenty of hose length, enough to cut, any additional off that I need. But I have plenty of length. You could probably, so this is going to apply to a 2017 RAM 2500. You could probably cut them in equal lengths. I measured this like twice, maybe even 3 times before I cut it in half to make sure that I wasn't short someplace. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all this back out, get everything tight. All right, let me give you guys a summary, because the work that's involved in this is a lot. So it was really getting hard to record everything and get the job done right. But what I've gotten completed so far is I've got this installed, tightened down, this installed. I don't have this one tight, it's just finger tight at the moment. And I've got the hoses. I will zip tie these to this hole right here in the radiator shroud or fan shroud, and it gets some slack in here like this. Okay, so that's the top side. Let's go down underneath. So looking at this from underneath, now those cables come down through the fan shroud right here, not cables, the hoses, and I've got them kind of looped right here like so, and they go up over this part of the beam, and they run up in this wheel well here a little bit, and then loop around and then into the adapter. I'm sorry, the filter housing. This was a booger to install, and Don Smith had recommended a 90-degree, I think it's a 60-degree half-inch wrench, and let me tell you, I highly recommend doing the same. I did get it. It did help, but this was still a lot harder to put on than I thought. But I'm filling oil up now in the new oil filter. I'm gonna screw that on here shortly. Let's go check the motor oil. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that drained almost all the way out down in there. So let's put some more in. All right, I'll get back with you here shortly. Okay, quick recap again. Got this hose on, this is tightened up. And I verified this hose goes to, so this is dirty oil. It's going to the end of the filter housing. So that's going in, and then out, clean oil or cleaner oil comes out and goes into here. So I had to double check it because I thought maybe I got them reversed. And what I found was it was actually easier to pull off the entire bracket with the filter head on it. Because I took the filter off, of course. Success! I Can't find any leaks. I got this on. This was a pain in the butt to get on. Actually, the whole job was just, both jobs were really, really hard. It's doable. I would caution you, if you've never done anything mechanical, to seek somebody's help on this, because I mean, I'm not a mechanic, but you know, it was difficult. Let me show you some stuff. Oil pressure, when I started it up, they recommend this. This is, of course, for the AMSoil bypass filter. Check oil pressure first. So I did, and it was, you know, 50 psi, which is what it typically is until it warms up. Then it's about 45-ish. And I looked underneath the truck while it was running under pressure, looking for oil leaks from all locations. But I do want to show you something. So let me start this up. What's this? It's pumping in oil. So that's kind of cool. Even though it still looks dirty. But, all right, we'll turn it off. Let the oil drain. We'll test or check the oil levels, make sure we're good. So I will come back with a summary of everything, and maybe, you know, put a couple 100 miles on it, make sure nothing has rattled loose. So far, so good. All right. If you have any questions on this, and I hope you do, please feel free to send me a comment down below. And if you come across this channel, and even if you're not an RVer, but you're interested in truck stuff that I've done and may have a few more things to do, please subscribe, and make sure you can share this with your friends and or somebody that may enjoy this video. All right, so from the RV Wagon Tales Corporate Studios, we'll talk to you soon.